From the intelligence that our unit was able to obtain, they had recovered at least one portion of a former crash site over the Soviet Union.
This former agent was able to confirm interest not only in the 1968 crash near Berezovsky, but in other Soviet attempts to recover UFO documentation and technology.
Ever since Stalin had been in control of the Soviet Union, especially in the post-World War II years, he was determined that if there were any technological gains to be made from extraterrestrial technology, that the Soviet Union would be the sole possessor and sole beneficiary of those technologies.
Due to the change of power in the former Soviet Union, many believe that much of the formerly unattainable information from the Cold War era may now be in the hands of the US and British intelligence agencies. Born of modern civilization, obtaining a rival's technology and adapting it to one's own uses have been the cornerstones of military and industrial espionage. This practice of dismantling another's hardware, discovering its secrets, and adapting it has become known as reverse engineering. Since the infamous Roswell incident in 1947, it has been purported that the source of much modern US military technology has been not of this earth.
A number of technologies were either partially inspired or wholly inspired from what was recovered at Roswell. It's amazing that when you look at the profiles from both the sides and from dead on, how close to stealth technology and spy plane designs that the Roswell ship resembles. We firmly believe that she is the design Rosetta Stone and the holy grail for aerospace design technology.
According to witnesses and UFO researchers, debris supposedly collected from the site indicated a technology superior to any existing on Earth during the post-war years.
The possibility exists back in the 40s that because all this new technology came out of Germany, we had scientists from Germany that either we were testing new advanced concepts to us at the time, these rocket engines, which were brand new to us, or this was some kind of smokescreen, if you will, to hide or to put the Russians off guard, make them think we were further along than we really were. And there's been a history of misinformation on both sides trying to keep each other off guard, and that very likely is one of the possibilities. If it wasn't Roswell, we're probably doing it some other place.
Such advances as the Hubble telescope and the Super Arbec missile engines are rumored to have benefited from alien reverse engineering. In addition to Roswell, there is another name heard frequently with regards to reverse engineering. A military facility located in the Nevada desert, commonly known as Area 51. One theory is that Area 51 is the hub of alien reverse engineering. But is the United States the only military power to have engaged in this secretive development of military technology? Or did Soviet military and intelligence organization reverse engineer technology from alien spacecraft that may have been recovered in Russia? Do the Russians have their own version of Area 51, located somewhere in the uninhabited parts of their vast country? Did the KGB, in addition to their agenda of maintaining the hard and fast rules of the communist regime, add to their duties the manipulation of alien technology for the advancement of Soviet power? Thus far, of all documented UFO sightings that have taken place within the former Soviet Union, not one was publicly acknowledged by the KGB. While reverse engineering remains a common practice throughout the world, not only in the military, but industry as well, the question as to whether or not it has ever been used to obtain alien technology remains unanswered. If the Russians had in fact recovered an extraterrestrial vehicle, as they seem to be doing in this footage, they no doubt would have wanted to benefit from its technology. We invited ufologist Stanton Friedman to view the recovered footage and to give us his input.
It would not be surprising if saucers had crashed in the Soviet Union. And if somebody had monitored this on radar from whenever, satellites. We had satellites, they had satellites at that time. Or just a report from a local person. And the kicker is the fact that you get troops out there and a cameraman doesn't necessarily mean it's a flying saucer. We need to be a little cautious about jumping to conclusions. Now, I think that film is worth a detailed investigation. Those things cost a lot of money, actually, to go over it. You have different specialists looking at it. You know, are the uniforms correct for the time frame? Is the film actually made in the Soviet Union?
We asked Russian film expert Sergei Goncharov to examine the film for its authenticity. He first explained the background of the film cans.
And this is the name of the factory that manufactures the motion picture film in the city of Pereslavl. This is the type of film type A2, which is the emulsion.
After Sergei examined the cans, he felt that they were authentic and consistent with the area and time period from which they had allegedly come.
Now that we've looked at the cans, the next thing to do was to actually find out if the film itself had any markings on it. Okay, in the very beginning of the film, we have this word, which in Russian says начало, or the beginning, or the start. Now, the next bit of information are these two items, M-A-R-T, Mart, which is the month of March, 1969, letter G for year. So the year of 1969, the month of March. Okay, then we have the two bits of information which says plyonka number 267. Plyonka in Russian means emulsion or film, could denote the reel, the roll, or a batch, and this, of course, is the number. The next thing we see is this bit of information. Совершенно секретно, top secret archive of the KGB logo and the word archive of the KGB.
Finally, Sergei Goncharov compared the markings on the film itself to what was printed on the cans.
As you notice right here on the edge of the negative, we have the word безопасная пленка, meaning safety film, and type A2, or type A2, which is exactly the information that you have on a can.
Next, we showed the film to Russian researcher Paul Stonehill.
The colors of the film, the quality, soldier uniforms. Somebody would have to go into special, to make a special effort to make a film that feels like something that was made in 1960s. I've seen a lot of films made in the 1960s, and this film here is almost of the same quality. It's not a 1980s or 1990s film. The KGB officer that had been looking and touching things looks quite genuine. To me, my gut feeling is this is not something that they had made intentionally to fool people.
UFO researcher Antonio Huneeus offered us his views on the film.
I would say that visually it's very impressive. The first thing that struck me was the good quality, very, very, very clear footage. You see, of course, it wouldn't be impossible to duplicate, as a hoax. You would have to hire some actors and so on. But it was quite well done. Of course, it could even be some kind of disinformation too. That the KGB was quite notorious about doing disinformation. For what purpose, I don't know. But they might have done some kind of training film or something to. Of course, if it was disinformation aimed against the Americans or something, we never heard of it. So that's also dubious.
Finally, while Mr. Huneeus felt that the film required more investigation, he was impressed and intrigued by it.
Well, I would say that if this is real, and I do not have the elements to make that judgment, this is so far the best footage of an alleged crash UFO or a dead alien that I've seen so far.
To appreciate the difference in attitude here with respect to such unconventional science as the study of UFOs, it is important to understand some of the cultural contrast between Russia and the West. For hundreds of years, Russian culture has been steeped in religion, mysticism, and superstition. In the times of the Tsars, it was not uncommon for there to be an official court mystic, the most famous of these being the priestly soothsayer Grigory Rasputin during the reign of Tsar Nicholas. Even though religious expression was suppressed, it is now making a resurgence, and the many places of worship in Russia are once again housing congregations and becoming a big part of daily life. Russians seem to have an open-minded attitude towards the paranormal and such unconventional sciences as the study of UFOs. During the Soviet era, some of those voicing their beliefs in extraterrestrials were subjected to criticism and censure by Soviet officials. Russian author Yuri Alexandrovich Fomin claims that he has had such experiences.
I was summoned to the regional party committee and asked to deliver a lecture on UFOs for the employees of various scientific research institutions. I agreed. After that lecture, the head of the regional party committee suggested that everyone present should take a stand and subject my lecture to criticism. But that didn't happen. All the people who listened to my lecture would say, "This is sort of interesting. This needs to be studied and examined." And then the head of the party committee said, "You're here to express your agreement with the official reaction to this kind of lectures. And you instead are trying to make sense out of the facts."
While the communists said they weren't interested in UFOs, many around the world were. Some claim that sightings date back hundreds, if not thousands of years. Much like their American counterparts, many modern Russian citizens are very open to the possibility of the unusual.
Many people become victims of tabloids, like Americans today. However, so much information had been collected, and people read about it in underground magazines, have heard about it, that they believe in the extraterrestrial explanation of UFOs, not so much time travel, but as the extraterrestrial. And people in Russia also are more cynical than the Americans in their approach to information, simply because everything was a lie.
Both Americans and Russians believe they have been lied to by their government about many things, including extraterrestrial research. When Russian researchers headed by former Soviet naval officer Vladimir Ashasha petitioned the Soviet government for official records regarding UFOs, they too were met with a lack of cooperation.
Мы послали запрос.
We sent an inquiry to the archives of the Ministry of Defense and to the archives of the KGB. We got a response that neither KGB archives nor the archives of the Ministry of Defense have any data regarding this incident.
If there is mistrust of the government by Russian and American citizens, it's not without good reason. For Russians, it was more than 70 years of communist rule. For Americans, there has been a steady erosion of trust over the last 30 or 40 years. For Americans, the knowledge that their government was not being honest began in the 1960s, when the war in Southeast Asia escalated with secret bombing campaigns in Cambodia. In the 1980s, arms were sold to support the Contra anti-communists in Nicaragua, in violation of U.S. law and without public knowledge.
God bless America.
It's no wonder that many American and Russian citizens doubt the honesty of government officials. How paranoid is the belief that their governments could withhold knowledge of extraterrestrials?